Aswang is probably the most popular element or entity in the Philippines, and I agree with that. These creatures are like vampires who suck blood dry from their prey. They can also change appearances and shape-shift into animals, usually a large bird, dog, or a hog when they need to escape. In the Philippines, there's one place that is very, very popular, and I don't remember what's the name. What's the name of that province? One place in the Philippines that basically it becomes super known that if you are from there, may lahi ka ng aswang. You are one of these people that suck blood or eat people, because you are an aswang. Capiz, another one. Yes, Capiz is another place where a lot of people seems to think that all of the people that comes from there are aswang. Disclaimer, guys, it's not true. Maybe it is, maybe it is not. But growing up, some people would just assume that you're an aswang. Usually, those people got bullied and stuff like that because they have, they come from the genes of people who suck blood dry from their prey. And usually, these are people. And a lot of, stories, like if you meet any Filipino, they'll tell you stories of aswang, according to the old tales. These are people actually that, they shape shift, to either escape or because they're trying to kind of like hunt. Aswang is one of the things that I actually kind of like scared to eat liver back in the day, because we have these tons of stories in the Philippines. If you kind of like go to these places that we talked about, they would make you want to eat a liver, like, soy sauce based liver. And if you eat it, you're gonna turn into aswang. So knowing that and knowing a lot of stories behind that, I felt like growing up, I stopped eating liver if I didn't do it. Like if it is offered to me by somebody, or if it is from a cafeteria, carinderia, I usually don't eat liver from a person that I didn't know, or cooked by someone that I don't know or a stranger to me. These types of stories makes me feel like I don't want to eat liver if it is not done by me or the people that I trusted, because I don't want to be an aswang. So I don't know if ever you've heard that stories, like eating liver is part of you being aswang, or like you're gonna turn into like them. So one of those stories is like that I kind of remembered. Bungis-ngis is also known as mahentoy. So in the northern part of Davao, the bungis-ngis is a one-eyed giant who lives in the forest and woods. It is a happy and a playful cyclops, although it looks really scary. And when it's near you, you will hear it giggling, hence the name. Ooh. For me, I think, people would think I'm bungis-ngis because I always laugh even if there's nothing funny. I know. I'm just like that, guys. Sometimes I just like laugh when I'm scared. I laugh when I'm nervous. I laugh on everything. Maybe I come from bungis-ngis family. So another one, guys, is tik-tik. Oh, diba? This is one of the things that I actually pretty much heard a lot about because it is related to people who are pregnant. Tik-tik are shape-shifting elementals who can transform into animals, usually a giant bird. And before they attack you, you will hear a faint tick, 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 tick from a distance, but don't let it fool you. If the sound of the tick-tick is louder, tick, 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 it means it's far away. But if it gets quieter, means the creator is right behind you. Alam ko yan. May na-experience na ko yan sa Quezon. May kaming buntis noon. Yes, we had like a person who was pregnant. And at the time, like we didn't really know that she was pregnant. So when we were sleeping, we were hearing this loud tick, tick, like it's very, very loud. So All of us, like because we're just sleeping on our own, like we kind of grew up knowing about tick tick and how, like if you live in the province or if you are visiting in the province, it's very, very prevalent that there's tick tick in that province because they usually are from the country, they are not from the city. So all of us are trying to wonder, that doesn't sound like, like gecko or anything at all, but it gets louder and louder, and then it becomes quieter and quieter, to the point that we're like looking at each other and we're trying to think of like, who is pregnant. Later on we found out that she was pregnant because of the tick tick. So it's very, very scary when you have that kind of experience, because sometimes, like stories like this, sometimes, you think it wouldn't be believable because, like they're it's kind of like, but there are really things out there that you just cannot really explain. Kaya pag buntis sa probinsya, lagi nagsasabit ng bawang sa mga bintana at nagsasabog ng asin. Actually, when I was like growing up as well in the Philippines, those tabloids, they would actually have tabloids of stories, like stories that actually, like they would show like these types of like big birds that supposedly the tik-tik. Ibon yan, ICEE. Tik-tik sa province. Nakakita ako nung buntis ako sa puno ng santol, sumalubong sa akin. Hala, sobrang laking ibon na itim lahat. Galing kami sa liga. Sumalubong sa akin, papunta siya sa puno. Nabigla ako. Manananggal. I wonder what's the difference between manananggal and tik-tik. Because the thing is, I think tik-tik is only for pregnant people, but also manananggal is the same thing. So, is anyone of you knows what's the difference of manananggal and tik-tik? So, yung tik-tik, yung malaking ibon ata. Oh, so tik-tik is a big bird. Manananggal, ayan yung nahahati yung katawan. Yung tik-tik, yung parang ibon na mahaba ang dila. Oh, so they are said to roam around at night looking for pregnant women so they can eat their fetus. In disguise, they can take the form of an old woman. Ang manananggal raw is originating from the south. The manananggal are another type of elemental or entity that has the ability to separate itself from its human torso. If you're anything that if you have the same thing in your country where you come from, but we have this thing like the body of a woman is cutting in half. So there's another thing as well in Japan where, there's a story about this thing, except that she doesn't have wings, but also her body cuts into half. What's the difference between manananggal and tik-tik? Because it seems like, manananggal, is it manananggal because their body is, like cutting into half, while tik-tik usually doesn't cut into half. So is that the only difference? But both of them usually eats or prey on pregnant people. And the thing is, to kill a manananggal, supposedly you have to kind of like hunt the other part of the body, the lower body, and you're supposed to put salt on the lower body, and that's how you kill a manananggal. Tiyanak is if you're out in the woods and you hear a baby crying, then that's definitely the work of an elemental called tiyanak. It is said that if you follow where the crying is coming from, you will see a helpless little baby in the middle of the forest. Once you pick it up and carry it, it will turn into a monster and devour you. These are one of those stories that I feel like growing up, especially when you hear cats. Sometimes cats sounds like a baby crying their guts out. So sometimes when you're like, like in a very dark place or like, in a alley or something, sometimes cats would like grow like a baby. And sometimes this pops into my head sometimes. And I feel like, like if I look closely, it might be a baby. But, like what if it's a tiyanak for real? Like what am I supposed to do? Yan, tiyanak, pag malakas ang iyak, nasa malayo. Pag mahina ang iyak, nasa malapit. Tikbalang. Oh, this is another part that I feel like, this is also like prevalent with other cultures, tikbalang. Kasi ang tikbalang is an elemento or an entity who possesses the body of a human and a head of a horse. Tikbalangs are known for stealing women that they like and sometimes inflicting trouble to those who are disturbing their home. Some stories also say that they can grant wishes if you manage to capture one. Is this true that sometimes they can grant wishes if you manage to capture one? But I've never heard of anything that, like anybody who captures one. I usually heard more of those stories that this, entity, they usually are the ones who actually haunt women, that they like. Because they come from another dimension or another world. Di ko makakalimutan yan. Nagkasakit ako ng 1 week nung nakita ko yan. Nilapitan pa ako sa kubo namin sa bukid. Hinahanap ako kasi umakyat ako sa taas ng kisame. Huh? Umakyat ka sa kisame? Yung paa kabayo, yung katawan tao, pero sobrang buhok. Nakakatakot yung boses niya as in. Hala? Takot. Nagsalita pa talaga, Chensky? Yung sound niya, hindi normal na sound ng kabayo. Di na natin ipagtataka yung mga engkanto dahil kung marami tayo, mas marami pa sila sa atin dahil sila yung nauna sa atin sa mundong ito. When you go into the woods or like when you go to a province, sometimes there are like tall trees that sometimes they have smoke surrounding them. I know. Some people would say it's a fog. But sometimes it's nice to think that it's not from a fog. Like the stereotype of tikbalang is they kind of like smoke a pipe or like smoke a cigarette, like a big tobacco cigarette. So sometimes in my head, I feel like maybe it's the tikbalang smoke. They're smoking in the woods or something like that. That's why sometimes, like when you go to the province, and like if you're a beautiful lady in the Philippines, sometimes they would tell you like to spit. And another thing as well, when you're walking and someone says psst, psst, according to the old saying, don't look back. Like don't look, just walk straight. Don't stop. Because once you do, it's either the tikbalang or you'll never ever going to come get home. Those are one of the things that, in my veranda, we have this kind of like big trees, surrounding the apartment. And the thing is, when, like when I get home late from work, sometimes I have to wash clothes. And because I have to like hang them outside, I couldn't do it without having any company. Because we have this big tree in the back of our apartment. And I feel like every time I hang clothes at night, I feel like, when you have that thing in the back of your neck, like every hair in the part of your body just gets up and it feels like somebody is staring at you. And then something makes a noise. I run. So mermaid sirenas or mermaids are the Pinoy version of water nymphs. These half-human, half-fish creatures often prey on fishermen who lure them into drowning using their lovely voices. Some legends say that they are beautiful, regal creatures, but they turn ugly and vicious once they get you. Capre. Ayan. Capres or giants, often found on large trees smoking cigar. Oh, this is probably one of the things that I was trying to tell you guys. These hairy, filthy creatures' favorite thing to do is to scare little children and wanderers. It is said that if you get lost in an unfamiliar place and kept going in circles, a capre might be playing a trick on you. You must reverse your clothes in order to find your way back home. Duende. These are actually ones that very, very much I'm fond of, because these are the dwarves and they're just twilight creatures who often live on trees. You just doesn't know, guys. Duende. They are known for playing pranks on humans, causing them to get sick and other nuisances, especially to those who disturb their homes. That's why whenever you're out in the woods, you must say, tabi-tabi po, so you won't disturb their peace. Remember this word, guys, tabi-tabi po, because that's definitely one of the things that you usually should remember and say just in case. Yung duwende, yung puti, nakita ko sa taas ng bubong ng bahay namin. Nakangiti sa akin yung puti. Yung pula, nung papunta na ako sa school, nakaharang siya sa dadaanan ko. UFO, santil mo, syoko. Ano yung santil mo? Santil mo, yung apoy na lumulutang. Syoko'y tik-tik. Yan lang nakita ko, ICEE. Wow, ang dami naman nun, Nils. Ayan, tatay ko nga, idol, ng gamot ng napapatay anak eh. Ano daw? Sigbin, ICEE, nakita ko na pinatay ng lolo ko sa bukid nun dahil kinain niya yung mga manok namin. There's a lot of stories like this is really like fun stories, scary stories as a kid, but it's usually really good because it comes from, you know, like a rich culture. I think for me it comes from a rich culture. It doesn't have to believe in it. It just kind of like make me feel like knowing all about this culture makes me feel like I'm Filipina, you know. You either believe it or you don't, but it's part of our culture, Filipino culture. It's just nice to know these things and kind of like share, you know, the folklore. Like especially with me, I like folklores. I like folklore stories, mythological stories, anything of that sort, like myth,